Hey guys, it's Kris with Tabletops and Tentacles here with your RPG Kickstarter rundown for April 28th, 2020. It's also a quarantine hair show-off because I'm in the basement during the apocalypse and I'm just don't care anymore. So this is a rundown of active projects on Kickstarter that will be ending sometime in the next 14 days. So I wanted to do something that's just every 2 weeks. This is highlighting just RPGs and RPG related accessories. And this is the top 10 that are currently active that I think look cool. First off, Galaxies and Peril. This is a superhero role-playing game based off of the Forged in the Dark system. It only has 8 hours left, so if you're interested in this, hop on it. I think the art looks super fun. This is a standalone 300-page superhero RPG. I am always into superhero RPG games, although I've never really locked into one for any extended time frame. But that's one thing I really like about them. I find that they really lend themselves well to one-shots and solo series kind of thing. This looks really fun. It's based off the Blades in the Dark system, which was also a Kickstarter, and it's also planned for some additional extensions and a few other things with it too. It's streamlined. It's got some really nice looking art, very cartoony, very comic booky. Just looks super fun. You can pledge for $1 to follow along, or you can get the PDF for $22 or the hardcover for $57. So my only real major complaint with this is their plan of only doing a hardcover version of it. It looks sexy, but it's hard to justify that difference between the two. And 300-page PDFs aren't something I typically will read all the way through. So plus and minus on that, that's the only reason I didn't back this, is that $60 for a hardcover right now is kind of hard to justify for me. But I think it looks awesome, and it's definitely on my list to check out later. Next up is the Sunken Dungeon, Dungeons & Dragons and Coloring RPG. Now, this is interesting to me. Not to sound mean to this, but I'm genuinely surprised at how well this is doing. It's at $13,000. It's got 64 hours left. It looks really interesting. It's got some really fun encounters, and that's where this thing really shines, is its ideas in it. It's got some really fun adventures. It's a very DIY thing where you are creating your character via cutouts and drawing and coloring your character and creating things that way. And even to the point of tearing pages in half as you're beating monsters and that kind of thing. My only complaint is that the aesthetic is gorgeous. I love this background coloring, the landscape stuff, but the character art's really not hitting it for me. And that's my only real complaint with it, is that I feel like the really pretty, the book layout and stuff is really nice, but the art itself is just a little too DIY for me. But it's really fun. I think people that get this are going to really enjoy it. You get the print and play for $5, which is pretty great. I believe, the early copy's $15, so it's really reasonably priced as well. And that's the Sunken Dungeon, and that has 64 hours left. A lot of these RPG ones are ending really soon. Next up is Borg. So this is a series of characters, classes, adventures, treasures that were created by the community for Borg, which is a earlier released RPG that I have seen and is beautiful. It's super interesting. It's very punk rock. It's got foil lined pages. It's very hardcore mode, and I love that kind of thing. I'm actually developing a hardcore mode RPG right now because I love the idea of character death that's unexpected and quick and violent and brutal. And the graphic design on these guys' stuff is amazing if you love that style. This is going to be like a little old school zine that comes for the other part. So this is not something that's going to be super useful if you don't have the main RPG. But look at this. It's gorgeous enough that honestly a lot of people are going to get it just because it's so fun to read and check out. I love these guys' graphic design. Their visual aesthetic is great. And you can get the actual Morkborg game through this as well. So I highly recommend it if this looks like it's up your alley at all. The game itself, their book is beautiful. It is just an absolute work of art the way they put it together. Next up is Aqualay. I have no idea how to pronounce that, but it's a bestiary for old school roleplay compatible stuff. And I believe they put this out for 5e previously, and this is a new adaptation of the bestiary for old school roleplay. And it's got 1,600 monsters. It's crazy. Like, this is a massive project. I think going through and doing all these stat blocks must have been just absolute insanity for them. These guys do a lot of really good stuff. They have some really unique monsters, and it's nice having it for old school role-playing if you prefer that system over 5e. And that one's got 5 days left. Next up is Heroic Challenges, which is from the Loresmith guys, who do a ton of stuff. The thing I love about Loresmith is that most of their stuff is system agnostic, which I think is huge. I will say that I'm not a huge fan of their graphic design for this particular one. I feel like it's a little plain, but it's a neat idea. So there's challenge cards where you pull it over and it has 2 different challenges that you can pick from, or as the DM, you can, if you need some inspiration, you can pull one out and be like, oh, okay, you need to do a thought challenge or something like that. But the reward ones in particular are the fun ones here because they're very radically different ones. In most cases, the cards are something you can hand the players and say, hey, you can use this later. It's a little impetus or advantage token kind of thing. And it's just, I love this type of stuff. This, like the ephemera that enhances a game in a fairly efficient and easy manner to use. These guys, I think, yeah, the PDF's $11. You can get the starter set for 22 of the cards, and that includes both the rewards and challenge deck with it. And then they do have like extras, like little dice trays and stuff, but I don't really care about any of that stuff, and it's all STL files, and I don't have a 3D printer. But it's really cool looking. That is called Heroic Challenges, and it's got 8 days left on it. They're doing great. These guys always kill it. I think this is like their 10th Kickstarter. Blacklist Miniatures Fantasy Series 1. So this is from Blacklist Games, who has done something else that I've... what are you doing? Why do you hate me? That I've backed before, but I don't recall what. Oh, okay, these guys are the ones that did Alter Quest. So, this is a fun project because it is basically everything you would need as a starting RPG player to play basic Dungeons and Dragons. It comes with some like simple character classes for hero ones, and then it's got, you know, it's got goblins, kobolds, bugbears, troglodytes, and it has 5 of each one, which works great for it. It's got giant spiders. Their skeletons are kind of silly, but they're fun, and the aesthetic is just detailed enough that as beginning painters, these would also be fun to paint, and I think that's kind of a neat thing. Like, this is pretty much perfect for a first time DM that really wants to get into it and start playing with miniatures. This would be a great set for you to snag. The Kickstarter exclusives include werewolves and more character classes, and it's pretty reasonable. The Fantasy Series box is $65, which is pretty legit, honestly. You get a ton of minis for that, and I think they look really good. I'm actually pretty down with these. I like the simplicity of the design. They're not too over the top. They're not too overly detailed. These would be fun to paint for me as an amateur painter. Next up is something really interesting, but I love it. Dungeon tape. So this is a strip of tape that you just lay down on your map to create walls. And I think it's a really fun idea. Like, it's super simple. They're designed so that you can pull them off. They have like a silk finish, so they're easy to see. And it's just a simple solution to making dungeons really quickly without having to write. Like, I know on my battle mat I tend to smear stuff everywhere when I'm doing it. And I think this is really cool. So they have... The main option is the dungeon pack, and you get to pick any unlocked pack, plus you get adventure stickers for $27. And what it includes, so they've got dungeon and cave tape, stone wall tape, interior wall tape, stair tape, wood board tape, chair stickers, crate stickers, door stickers, and window stickers. So you can make out an entire dungeon pretty quickly without any drawing skills needed. And I think that's a really clever idea. I think it's really interesting. I do think it's a little spendy. I'm sure it's not cheap to get this stuff made, and that tape, it's a lot of money for a single dungeon, and I don't know if you're going to get much more than that out of it, but I think it's beautifully designed. I think it's a really clever idea. I just wish that the tapes were longer than they are, but they're still really cool. Next up is Dungeons Your Party Will Die For. 10 days left on this project. They're killing it, doing really well. This is 10 one-shot mini adventures. It is sort of system agnostic. It's primarily 5e OSR, but it has a lot of other little like tweaks to it that would make it pretty easy for you to use with almost any dungeon crawl RPG type thing. It's 32 pages, and they've got like a little test dungeon you can pull up. I love single page dungeons. It's one of my favorite things, and they're kind of hard to do sometimes in being able to keep them cohesive and consistent and easy to just pull out and be like, all right, we're running this tonight. I'm a big fan of the one shot because my gaming crew is not real consistent at all showing up at the same time. So I love this kind of thing. Next up is Colonia. I can't pronounce it, but I really love this game. So this is a spaghetti western, but with swords. So basically, I'm a huge Western fan. I love spaghetti westerns. Once Upon a Time in the West is literally on the wall behind my computer right now. And this is a spaghetti fantasy, all set in Spain. It's got beautiful artwork in it. I think it just looks wonderful. And I am all in on this. I think it looks so fun. The main book is kind of expensive. It's $43 for the hardcover and the digital copy. I believe you have to... I can't remember how you get it outside of Italy. I know they've got some weird things going with their shipping. But it looks amazing. I'm definitely going to at least pick up the PDF because this style, this world, this setting, I think looks really fun. And finally, the new Deadlands release. I played the old school version of this with the Brom cover back in the day, and you can't go wrong with horror westerns. Like, looks amazing. It's got a lot of fun little add-ons. It takes place in 1876. So there's all sorts of like necromancy and zombies and the weird West stuff. So it's got a little Lovecraftian kick. And this is old school, like 1995, something like that, while I was in high school. And this re-release has tightened up some of the rules. They've got some new adventures in here. So this campaign features a single county in Wyoming, which I think is really cool. Like, they've simplified it a little bit, and it looks amazing. And the cool thing about this is that from what I've seen of it, it's tight enough and cohesive enough to the original that you can just play with your old adventures if you still have them and just tweak them a little bit. But it also looks like they're going pretty all in on this. It's something that they're releasing more stuff for later. And this is from Pinnacle, which does a ton of stuff. They've got 23 on here, but that's just what they happen to have kickstarted. They're a really well-established thing. They did the Deadlands stuff, Savage Worlds. you can definitely trust the quality of their product. And like the Savage World stuff that they have, that they did, that I have, is all like top notch. Like the Fear Agent one's amazing. So this is a no-brainer if you like Weird West, Lovecraft, Western RPG stuff. It's just super cool. So that's it for this week on RPGs live on Kickstarter right now. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you hit subscribe, that helps us out. If you hit the little bell, it helps us out. Flash a comment in the bottom which you're most interested in of these, or if there's something I missed. I'd love to know if there's something that I'm just oblivious to. Or if there's a small one that we could promote in some way. We're all about that. We're also doing our magazine, Tabletops and Tentacles. If you don't know about that, you can go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/deeplydapper. And our magazine is a kind of nerd central for each month. The first issue comes out in a couple weeks. It focuses on RPGs, comics, fiction, games, film, and if you guys are working on something that you'd like promoted, we'd love to push you in the magazine too. But thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for supporting us. We appreciate everything. We hope everyone's staying safe and healthy, and that your hair looks better than mine.